Regulatory Authority EPRA. One of the key takeaways from the proceedings that took place on the 28th of last month was that the key to fuel prices were in the hands of Parliament, an indicator that high taxation is a major culprit. Experts warn that the heightened prices will have a ripple effect on the cost of living in the country.
In the latest review, Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority removed subsidies of 7 shillings and 10 cents on petrol, 9 shillings and 90 cents on diesel, and 11 shillings and 36 cents on kerosene. That pushed prices of the commodities to historical highs. The subsidy scheme was supported by funds raised from consumers through the Petroleum Development Levy, which increased from 40 cents to 5 shillings and 40 cents in July last year. EPRA Director General Daniel Kipto says the energy regulator spent 8.6 billion shillings between May 2021 to August 2021 to stabilize the fuel prices.
I think on average, the amount of money that has been collected, considering, and this is information that I've managed to garner from Parliament Budget Office, considering the amount of litres that Kenyans have been able to consume and import into the country, we're looking at about 30 billion shillings. Out of that 30 billion share, it might be important to ask how much of it is what was used. Maybe in your report you might want to include that. How much money of it was used to actually protect Kenyans?
From the month of May to the month of August, the number in terms of how much has been applied for stabilization is a total cumulative of 8,674,683,458.62 shillings.
So we are waiting for the relevant ministry to come in to tell us where the rest of the money is. Because our gut tells us the reason the subsidy was dropped for this month is because the money is finished.
But why was the subsidy removed? A move that led to expensive petrol, diesel and petroleum prices.
Part of the increment of the prices, petroleum products prices, is because of that levy is already been exhausted, and you cannot be able to really subsidize the oil prices. What is the future of this petroleum development levy? Do we actually need it?
Don't you think that your existence as EPRA is contributing to the increase in fuel prices in this country?
When there are no erratic prices to be stabilized, where does that money go? And now that it appears you have withdrawn the subsidies, why don't you also withdraw the tax?
Subsidy was removed for fuel prices in the month of September 2021. The Chair and Honourable Members, on that particular matter, I wish to submit that this is a policy matter. This is a matter for policy, and we at the regulator, we are there and we apply the law as is.
Super petrol, diesel and petroleum are subjected to at least 8 other taxes and levies, including excise duty, road maintenance levy, railway development levy and value-added tax. This adds up to 58 shillings and 81 cents for super petrol in the pump price, 46 shillings and 46 cents for diesel, and 41 shillings and 14 cents for kerosene. Stark contrast from neighboring East African countries. Consumers in Uganda, for instance, pay 45 shillings and 16 cents in petrol taxes, 35 shillings and 19 cents for diesel, and 9 shillings and 34 cents for kerosene taxes. In Tanzania, fuel consumers pay 43 shillings and 21 cents for petrol, 37 shillings and 26 cents for diesel, and 34 shillings and 74 cents for kerosene taxes.
We import product not only for consumption in Kenya, but also for landlocked countries in the region. So the answer to that question is that they're not cheaper in terms of landed cost. The difference, as we've highlighted here, is the taxation regime in Kenya and in Uganda and our neighboring countries. That really is the difference.
The Departmental Committee on Finance and Planning is set to meet the Ministry of Energy and the Ministry of Petroleum on Wednesday over the high fuel prices. Brenda Kerubo, KTN News.
Indeed, and that story by Brenda Kerubo shapes the discussion I'm about to have with Joseph Karanja, the chairperson of KIPEDA, that is the Kenya Independent Petroleum Distributors Association. He is already right here in studio. Thank you, Bwana Karanja, for making time for us on Bottomline Africa.
My pleasure.
Great.
Thank
now,
you.
let's start with the reaction, the initial reaction this week, especially from the that is KIPEDA, rather, from your members. What was the initial reaction when the EPRA announced the new fuel prices?
Everybody was just irritated, disturbed, and we just remain worried where we are leading to, because we have not seen such a rise in prices in the near past. And we are still not sure what is going to happen, because it is really killing businesses. We are not able to move. We are finding it very hard petroleum is cash intensive. You have to have cash to, especially for us who are independent, you have to go and get hard cash so that you can access the product. We are not like the multinationals who are sometimes facilitated and given credit, facilities.
Yeah.
We have to really work with cash. So it is so hard on us, on our side, and this one goes down to the needs, the need of petroleum products in all the corners of the country, because that is where we are. For those people who are within major urban centers, they could be having, easier ways of accessing, but accessing cash from the rural, it becomes very hard. And we are shocked. In fact, we were wondering sometimes when we were talking, just like how the Ministry of Health was reporting about, what is the results of coronavirus.
Yeah.
We were wondering whether the Ministry of Finance could just, be announcing how many businesses are dying every day, and how many are getting, people are getting stuck along the way, so that maybe people can understand the magnitude of the mess, because it is just serious.
Right.
And you see, when it starts with the operators, the business people now, it will trickle down to the consumers, the manufacturers. They will find it hard, to manufacture at the same costs, so they'll have to increase their prices.
Yeah.
The farmers accessing whatever implements they want, all the fertilizers, or some of them even use, the pumps to do the irrigation. They cannot afford to fuel their pumps. So it is just people going to hospital,
Yeah.
using bodabodas or tuk-tuks, and we are talking about the common mwananchi who is facing life the hard way, as opposed to people in these big offices just discussing, and some of their fuel costs are met by the companies or the government.
Right.
So theirs is just to talk, while the common mwananchi is suffering down there. It is very serious. It is so hard, and I think just the way they made it, a serious business with the corona thing. I think somebody now should just rise to the occasion and start analyzing or counting how many businesses are dying, how many people are sleeping hungry.
And indeed, we will get to the recommendations and perhaps what you think needs to be done moving forward.
Yeah.
But, you know, Kipeda employs nearly 50,000 people directly and 70,000 others indirectly.
Yeah.
Are we seeing the numbers going down in the near future? Have they started going down with the higher fuel prices?
Yes, yes. Now people, you see, people are starting to think the alternative, because if this one is not sustainable, what do? You look for an alternative before you drown. Otherwise, it is hard. It is hard. When commodities get more expensive, people look for alternative ways to do what they normally do. So if they were using their cars or the tuk-tuk, the borders to go and try to do, they try, reducing that. This one again reduces the demand for the product, which in effect reduces the supply, such that if you were selling maybe 1,000 liters, now it goes down to even 300. If you are going like 30 kilometers in a day, you look for ways of combining forces. You leave 2 cars in the village or at home, and you use one, or even send somebody, so such that the flow of the commodity is now reduced.
Right.
Yeah.
So and Kenyans have been wondering why these high fuel prices. Let's go even comparing with the international, with the situation in the UK, for instance, internationally or even globally. We've seen that there is such a similar situation in the UK. Is it that the oil manufacturing countries are undergoing a crisis? Why are we seeing these high fuel prices and shortages? Because there are those who like in the UK, you've seen the story where they queued to fuel enough for themselves. Here in Kenya, you're also seeing the hiked fuel prices. What is driving all these hiked fuel prices?
Okay, even though there could be some, an oil crisis in the world globally, but ours becomes more serious when you look at when you compare with what is happening out there, because if it is cold on your side, it's also cold on my side. Then I look at how you are, you're managing the weather. I'll also try to do the same. But when mine now becomes severe, then I have to look at the specific or the different issues which are causing my problems to be more painful. When you come back to Kenya, because even looking at the East African countries, they have better or cheaper products compared to ours.
Why is that?
This is just because, and the debate has been going on for some few days now. It is going down again to the policies, the nation, the country's policies. This is caused by what was passed in the parliament. When we were making noise, thinking, okay, the common person will think that us dealers are the ones, reaping the profits.
Exactly, and there's been so much blame coming to you guys.
Which is not. Because, in fact, our profits, our margins are governed, are regulated by the EPRA. It is statutory. It is written down. It is open for anybody to scrutinize that. So it doesn't change. Whether the prices, acquiring price wholesale, the product at wholesale is higher or lower, our margin remains the same. Now, we want to, at that point, we want to say we are not benefiting in any way as dealers. When we go to EPRA says now this is a matter of law. There's nothing else we can do about it. We just have to implement the law the way it is.
Yeah.
So who are the lawmakers? We go to the parliament. Now we find And this is where the problem is. We find parliamentarians even shouting inside the house that the prices have gone up, and it is in the same house that they passed these laws. I think there is something very serious now which is coming to show inside our parliament, because if this thing, if a thing like this can happen in the oil sector, it could also happen in another very important sector, because it appears like they were not keen. They are never keen. You see, something that happened about 2-3 years ago, until it bites. You know, until when the fire is really burning, is when they are sensing that somewhere along the line we erred, or we were not keen to see the implications in future, such that the parliament now becomes just a suspect.
Indeed. And you did see the DG of the EPRA saying, I mean, the solution is not with them. Rather, he threw the ball back to, you know, the parliament and parliamentarians. Yes. So when you look at it all, the landing costs of fuel in Kenya, and I'll just enumerate a few. For instance, a litre of petrol lands at Mombasa, in Mombasa at 60 shillings and 35 cents, diesel at 53 shillings and 88 cents, and kerosene at 54 shillings and 44 cents. However, they are sold at 134 shillings, 115 shillings and 110 shillings, respectively. Speaking to you guys as, you know, the Kipeda Association, how are your profit margins? Because someone may also, you know, because of how the situation is, the blame could also come to you guys and be like, okay, fine, these independent distributors and the association, they may be making a killing out of all this. What is the profit margin? Because you're looking at a landing cost, for instance, petrol, 60 shillings landing cost in Mombasa, but it is sold at 134 shillings. Where, how are you making
now,
money?
from the 134 shillings, because this is something that we deal with every day, from the 134 shillings, the product, the molecule lands at Mombasa at 60 shillings, 0.35. Now, from that one, you'll add about 3 shillings and 70 cents. They claim it is for transportation and moving the product, which we still have a complaint about. On top of that, now they add our margin, which is supposed to be 12 shillings. The total margin, margin across the board for whoever is dealing, because there is the importer. The importer earns about 4 shillings. Then the investor, the person who has constructed the petrol station and facilitates, is kind of given back 4 shillings, and then. Now the business, the fluid, now the profit of selling the product is 4 shillings only. So if you have built for yourself, and then you're trading with the product you have bought for yourself, then you have an advantage of about 8 shillings. But the other 4 shillings now goes to the importer. So if one is able to import the product, build his own petrol station, and sell the product, then you're able to earn the 12 shillings. Now, on top of that, there is 59 shillings, 58.81, 59 shillings, which goes to the government. And this is just too much. And if you look at the levies there, there's a lot to complain about. Because, like now there is this, you see, when I look at what the government, has put in place as control measures, or sometimes I wonder what those guys, you see, they spend a lot of time politicking there. Instead of sitting down in the offices, thinking
and so
ahead for our country.
So as you wind up, Bonakaranja, have you perhaps fronted these recommendations to government? Because we are seeing in the same breath, people are opening up petrol stations. So is it a good business to venture in, and what recommendations are you giving?
I'll tell you something which is better kept for somebody in ourselves. You see, for you out there, trying to just, send a word in those in the midst of those guys, it means just too much. It's so hard, and you have to push it in whichever way. I don't want to talk about it. And this is our Kenya, and this is what happens. So, unless now they hear, an uproar from outside, it's very hard to have them listen to you.
2 seconds. Should I invest in this business, yes or no?
You can try.
Okay. As a Kenyan, that is indeed because of the high fuel prices.
Being a Kenyan, you can.
Okay.
Because we are also aggressive in our own way.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed, I've been speaking to Joseph Karanja, the chairman of KIPEDA, that is the Kenya Independent Petroleum Distributors Association, right here in studio, talking about that high fuel prices. And he says, well, those who need to be told what they need to do have not been listening much, and we indeed hope that the situation does change. You're watching Bottomline Africa. Time now for a short commercial break, where I leave you with Destination Africa. I'll be back in a few minutes. Please stay with us.